everybody, I'm John P. and they're having a staring contest.
And I'm Callie Lewis. How are you guys today? That's how we start our Thursdays off. I don't know about you.
Staring contest?
Exactly.
I lose every time.
Well, all week we've been talking the cloud, and we've talked about some great things about the cloud, but today we're going dark. I want to know, in today's subject, if what the consequences are about cloud-based living.
It's not just security of the cloud, it's reliability of the cloud when you start to rely on a service. I think we've talked about the cloud in a lot of ways, and if you think about the history of BlackBerry, you've heard about service interruptions or the occasional email service outage over the years.
We
with
copy
the way
those from you with iCloud.
Yeah, exactly. It happens, but like nothing is 100% reliable.
Sidekick went down for 2 weeks. Gmail went down the other day. People lost their mind.
There's two different things here. There's one of storing your stuff online, not being able to access it, which is actually really devastating. Then there's just inconvenient.
There have been some notable instances where, for example, Amazon's cloud, who many service providers rely on, goes down, and there are data losses.
Yeah.
Now, it's a point-something% of the data.
But if it happens to you.
But if there's enough data, that can be quite a bit of
The other day when
Google Drive
Facebook went down, and because so many people used Facebook as an integral part of their website, all those websites went down with it.
A lot of times we have privacy stories about Facebook. Do we trust the cloud companies with our data?
It's interesting because once you have that physical copy, whether it's on your Drobo, your hard drive, whatever, you feel like you own that. Someone could break into your house, but that's so abstract. But when you put it on Dropbox, and some companies they duplicate data so they don't have to store it more than once. Whose copy of the data is it? If there's a subpoena, if someone hacks into the cloud, I can control my own security a little bit. I can't control Dropboxes or SkyDrives at all.
And there's this issue now. It's small, but it scares people when they put questionable photos online and they store it in their own private accounts, not even shared with anybody. But somehow these companies, I think Microsoft does it, Dropbox does it, a couple of them do, they scan and they will send you a notice. And that is kind of a weird thing because it raises that question, whose data really is this now? Do they have a right to do that?
Is that necessarily a bad thing? If that keeps child porn off the
Right.
internet, or hopefully from happening in the first place, if it keeps terrorism from happening,
Actually-
is that trade-off worth it?
Actually, I don't think it's worth it, and I think there's precedent going back to the beginning of the telephone networks that demonstrates why we need to not do that. I think also we could throw CISPA into the mix and other legislative movements that are attempting to gain access to those files. I would argue that if you upload your content to a service provider who's housing it, it should be considered an extension of your home, your personal stuff, in the same way that, at least in the US, a hotel room is
Right.
while you're occupying the hotel room. So
Like in the U.S., so we're using it in Canada. Some people might be using it in England. There are some countries whose laws are way more strict than U.S. laws. So I don't want to pick a bad example, but let's say there's a country where a fully clothed person is illegal. I put that on Dropbox. Should they be able to tell Dropbox, you can't have that picture in our country? Whose laws govern the
something
cloud?
like Mega? We haven't discussed that. There's a new cloud service that sort of gets around these issues and keeps things anonymous and encrypted. And is that a solution? Is that going to become something?
Because it doesn't know what you're storing.
Right.
We're in a wild, wild west right now with all these services. I mean, we're adopting them like crazy because the convenience factor and because they also play so nicely with mobile, which has been, the movement, right? Everybody's moved from feature phones into smartphones, is continuing to adopt them. These cloud services play so nicely with it. Everything's connected, and there's a lot of room for things to go wrong.
So it sounds to me like even amongst this group, no one is quite sure. We know there are major problems. We don't want to have to think about them, but we know we have to think about them. But
It's everyone's responsibility to think about it and to come up with solutions because it is in its infancy and we have so much room to grow. And if we don't think about it and if we don't make some movements towards a good solution, then it's up to people who we don't know, and who knows where that's going to go, right?
CISPA.
Sorry, that was my little rant.
All right, guys, we'd like for you to chime in on this area. What do you think is wrong with the cloud environment right now? Where's it going, and how can we fix it?
We want to hear from you, like we keep saying, but we're not hearing enough from you, I think
That's right.
is what we're
You
saying.
should tweet us. You should Google Plus us, Facebook us. What else can they do to us, guys?
Don't give any ideas.
Don't give them any ideas.
We'll see
I'm
you guys
Callie
next
Lewis.
time.
That's John P. Bye.
Bye.